When your cat hears their name, do you actually know what's going on in their head? Most owners assume their cat is just not paying attention, or that cats don't really understand their own name at all. But science says something completely different. And once you hear it, you'll never look at your cat the same way when they pretend not to hear you. Because here's what's actually happening every single time you call their name and they don't move. They heard you. They just decided not to answer. We're going to go through exactly why they do it, what it tells you about how your cat sees you, and what to watch for when that behavior changes. Let's start with what's going on in their brain when they hear you call. Have you ever watched your cat flick an ear toward you when you say their name, then go right back to doing nothing? That tiny ear movement is the tell, and most owners miss it completely. Researchers at the University of Tokyo ran a study in 2019 that settled this question. They played cats recordings of 4 different words, then their own name. Every time their name came on, the cats showed a measurable response. Ear rotation, head turning, pupil dilation. Even when the voice wasn't their owner's, even when they'd heard it dozens of times that day. Your cat knows their name. They've known it for a long time. The weird part is what comes next. Recognizing the sound and choosing to respond to it are 2 completely separate things for a cat. And that gap between hearing and reacting is where everything interesting lives. Dogs close that gap almost every time. They hear their name and they move. Cats don't operate that way, and it's not laziness. It goes back to something much deeper in how cats evolved alongside humans. And by the way, if your cat has stopped responding to their name altogether, even with the ear flick, don't ignore it. We'll come back to what that means at the end, because it's not always about attitude. Dogs were bred over thousands of years to take direction, to come when called, to defer to the human in the room. That wiring runs deep. It's in their DNA. Cats were not. Cats domesticated themselves. They moved closer to human settlements because there were rodents to hunt, not because they wanted a relationship with us. Nobody bred cats to be obedient. Nobody selected for cats who came when called. Turns out that history still lives in your cat right now. Animal behaviorist John Bradshaw, who spent years studying how cats interact with people, found that cats genuinely don't have a social concept of hierarchy the way dogs do. A dog can recognize you as the leader and act accordingly. Cats don't carry that framework. You're not above them in their world. You're beside them. So when you call their name, your cat isn't thinking, I should go to my owner. They're thinking something much more like, is there a reason to move right now? If the answer is yes, food, play, something interesting, they might come. If the answer is no, they won't. Not because they're being difficult, because there's genuinely no social mechanism that tells them they have to. Here's what most people get completely backwards. When a cat feels unsafe or anxious, they become hyper alert. Every sound gets a reaction. Every movement triggers a response. A stressed cat doesn't ignore anything. A cat that feels completely safe, they stop reacting to things that don't require a reaction. So when your cat hears their name and decides not to move, that calm non-response is actually a signal that they feel secure enough to make that choice. They're not threatened by you calling them. They're not anxious about what might happen if they don't respond. They just don't feel like it. My cat does this constantly. I call her name and she opens one eye, checks that it's me, and closes it again. For a long time, I thought she was just rude. She was actually telling me she felt fine. Researchers studying cat stress responses found that cats in secure, low-stress environments showed far fewer reflexive responses to familiar sounds, including their owner's voice. The absence of reaction was correlated with lower cortisol levels. Calmer cats ignore more. And hey, if that just changed how you feel about your cat blanking you, hit like and subscribe. That's how we reach more cat owners who want to understand what's actually going on with their cat. While we're on the subject of what your cat hears, the range is genuinely hard to wrap your head around. Humans hear up to about 20,000 hertz. Cats hear up to 64,000. That's not a small gap. It means your cat is processing sounds from the world around them that are completely invisible to you. A mouse moving behind a wall 2 rooms away, a pipe shifting under the floor, a car pulling into the driveway before you've heard the engine. This is also why your cat sometimes freezes and stares at a wall for no reason. It's not a ghost. There's something in there your ears can't catch. So when you call your cat's name and they don't respond, keep in mind that your voice is arriving in the middle of a full sensory landscape you can't hear. Your call is one input among dozens. Whether it gets priority is entirely up to them. A study published in Animal Cognition found that cats can distinguish between familiar and unfamiliar sounds even from a resting state. They're never fully off. Their brain is running a constant low-level scan. Your voice gets processed. The decision about what to do with it is just made very quickly and very independently. Because here's the flip side of all of this. When your cat does come when you call, when they actually get up, walk over, and show up at your feet, that's not automatic. That's a choice, every single time. Dogs come because they're wired to. Cats come because they decided to. Those are completely different things. There's a difference between a cat that comes for food and a cat that comes just because you called. The food response is conditional. There's a clear reward. The second response is relational. They came because of you, not because of what you might give them. If your cat sometimes comes when you call with no food involved, if they just appear and sit near you, that tells you something real about how they feel about you. Not because they had to, because they wanted to be where you were. Researchers studying human-cat attachment found that bonded cats showed voluntary approach behaviors toward their owners significantly more than toward strangers, even when no food was involved. Voluntary. They chose the proximity. Most owners have accidentally taught their cat that coming when called leads to something unpleasant. Think about when you actually call your cat's name. You call them when it's time for medication, when you need to put them in a carrier, when they're somewhere they shouldn't be and you're about to move them. Cats have excellent associative memory. They don't store abstract concepts, but they absolutely remember, and this sound was followed by that experience. And if their name has been followed enough times by something they didn't enjoy, they make a very reasonable decision to stop responding to it. This is why some cats who used to come when called gradually stop. The name hasn't changed. The association has. The fix is simple, but it takes time. Start calling their name only when something good is about to happen. A treat, a play session, just a warm hello with no agenda. Over weeks, the association shifts. The name starts to predict good things again, and the cat who stopped responding starts to reconsider. You don't need to train your cat the way you train a dog. You just need to be careful about what their name predicts. This is what I mentioned at the start, and it's the part that matters most. If your cat has gone from responding to their name, even occasionally, even just with an ear flick, to showing no reaction at all, that's a change worth paying attention to. Sometimes it's physical. Hearing loss in cats is more common than most people realize, especially in older cats and in white cats with blue eyes. If your cat genuinely can't hear you anymore, no amount of calling will get a reaction. A vet check is worth having. Sometimes it's environmental. A new person, a new pet, a change in routine. Something has made your cat feel less secure. And a cat that feels less secure becomes more guarded about everything, including how they respond to you. And sometimes it's relational. The association with their name has slowly drifted negative. Too many vet trips, too many interruptions, too many times the name showed up attached to something they didn't want. None of these mean your cat has stopped caring about you. They mean something shifted, and they're trying to tell you that in the only language they have. They're not ignoring you because they don't love you. They're ignoring you because something changed. And the fact that you noticed that you're paying this much attention to how your cat responds to a single word says more about your relationship with them than the word itself ever could. Next time your cat hears their name and doesn't move, look for the ear. That tiny flick is them saying, "I heard you. I'm just busy."